today we have a question from Tom, who is a blue belt, been training for a number of years, and he is recently married, and he's curious about my advice on training while married. He's wondering, how do you find the balance between having a happy wife and training, getting enough training in? Keep in mind, he's a young guy, so when he means enough training, because he wants to compete and stuff, he means training a lot. How do you keep a happy wife and still train a lot? And he says he didn't check to see if I have a video on it, but he wanted to ask. So I haven't done a video on this before because I don't consider myself a relationship guru, right? But I will share some pieces of advice that maybe could be useful to you, but again, keep that in mind. I'm not a relationship guru, so keep everything else, or keep everything in this video with that in the back of your mind, all right? That said, here's something I found really useful, because early on, I had this issue with all the relationships that I had prior to my wife now, where I had goals, I had dreams. I've always had things that I was shooting for, right? That's just the kind of person I was. And jiu-jitsu was a big one of those. Grappling was a big one of those. And initially what would always happen with the relationships, Tom, is that we would come into it, we would start dating, and I would tell them about how much I was training and everything else. And they would be like, wow, that's so cool, right? And sounds great. Then they would start to be with me. We would be in a relationship. And then they would realize how much that actually meant time-wise, how much time away that actually meant. And then they were like, I'm not so sure about this. And me, the way that I was like, psh, just hit the ceiling. Just was like, nope, I'm done with this, right? I'm not dealing with this. Get on out of here. I don't want to deal with you. I did that with the exception of one woman. And with that one woman, we ended up, I've talked about this on the channel recently, we ended up getting a house together, had a dog, bought a car, all this stuff. And it really took me for a loop in my early 20s. And when I got away from that, again, I doubled down. Okay, I'm focused on my mission. And if you're not on board with that, I don't want you around. Again, maybe that's not a good thing or bad thing. I don't know. But one of the things that happened is that when Jess and I got together, by the way, this is sort of, I'll tell you this thing that we did when we were together for a long period of time. One thing that I think really helped us out, and I've talked about this a couple times on the channel when we talk about dating people from a gym and stuff, is we didn't turn the relationship into a physical thing, and keep it PG, for a number of months before we were together, right? And I think that was very useful. And we knew each other for a little while. And I think that was useful because she got to see me and be around me and see what I was doing and be basically like, do I actually want to deal with what this guy's doing? Because I can see what he's doing all the time. And also for me, on my standpoint, I got to be around her. And I just had to be around her and hang out with her. And like, do I actually like hanging out with her? You know, if being physical with her is not on the table, do I enjoy this? Do I enjoy hanging out with her? It's very helpful. And so obviously I said, yeah, I like this, and she did as well. So I think that's a very wise idea if you get into a relationship. If you really like the person, take a while before you guys take it to the bedroom, okay? That said, you're already married, so let's talk about this. Here's what we did, and I think this is really useful. This helped our relationship out a lot. And again, take it for that, right? Take it as just your buddy in the gym who's sharing a piece of advice with you. I've given this to a couple of other guys in the gym as well that's been useful. So here's what we did. We sat down because there was a point where, you know, I have this vision in my head of where I want to go. And I realized that Jess was the woman that I think I wanted to marry. So I was like, I need to bring her in on this vision because the rest of these women, I've always kind of like had them over here. I was doing this, and either you want to like tag along or get out of here. What I was thinking is, well, I want to be together with this woman forever. So, hey, here's where I'm going. Why don't you come be a part of this? And so I had this vision wrapped up in my head, all laid out and everything else. And what I did is I sat down with her and we started doing this. It was kind of a fun game. And we would sit out and write out our life together. We'd say, what do we want this whole thing to look like? What do we want our house to look like? Do we want dogs? Do we want kids? Do we want this? How much land do we have? What time of day do we get up? What kind of lifestyle do we live? What's our schedules look like? All this stuff. When we got down to really granular, detailed stuff. You know, I remember like we were talking about she would work from home and she would sleep in a little bit because she likes to sleep in a little bit. Me, I'm an early bird. I like to get up early in the morning and go do my stuff. And that's what I do. And we had land and she had her horse. And for the most part, the stuff that we laid out in that vision, that little sort of piece of paper that we wrote down and sort of edited multiple times, pretty much came true. So maybe we'll have to redo that a little bit sooner than later. But that was something that we did together. Now, what was important about that, Tom, is that by having that together, we knew what we wanted out of the relationship. So she could tell me, hey, here are the things that I need from you. And for her, it's a lot of times just spending time with her because I am busy during the week. I have a lot of irons in the fire. I've got a lot of things going on. So I still have to make time for her and say, hey, we have Jess nights. We have date nights. We do these things together. We're going to go ride horses together on this day. We're going to watch movies on this night, just hang out and snuggle up and just be together, right? We have those times. And then also, she knows what I'm doing. And so she knows what my mission looks like. And so when I have to take trips and be gone on weekends, or I have to work extra hours, she's like, I get it. I understand. It's what we got to do. Or when she has to follow me and go do some recording on the weekend, and basically her weekend's usually her like lazy, relaxing time, and I got to take her down to do a bunch of video recording. She's like, I got to do it. And it's what we agreed upon. It's part of our mission here, part of our vision. And so laying that out was very important. And I think it was very useful for our relationship because we could do things, and when difficult things would pop up that would disrupt everything, we would both understand why. And we were both on board for that. And then if she was like, maybe me, like, hey, I'm spending too much time doing this, she could give me that gentle reminder and say, hey, come back to me because we agreed on this, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, you're right. Let's do that. And it's that give and take, of course, in a relationship. But having that vision out and laying it all out and having what your needs are and what her needs are, it's very important. It was very useful to us. So that would be my idea to you, Tom, is just try that out. See, maybe that would work, is work with your wife and build a vision together. What do you want your life to look like together? Again, as humans, we get so detailed about our stuff. Right? My TV has all this technology, my computer's got this chip processor, and my car has all these bells and whistles. Well, what does your life look like? What time of day do you wake up? What time of day do you want to wake up? What kind of job do you want to do? What kind of time do you want to spend with your wife? What kind of time training do you want to spend? What kind of things does she need, right? Get it all laid out there on paper so you guys can look at it together and work towards making that stuff happen so that you both get what you want out of the whole thing and make your needs and your desires known so that neither person's guessing. So that was the idea. Again, not a relationship guru, but it was very useful to me. Hopefully it'll be useful to you, Tom. And for anybody else that's in that situation, maybe it'll be useful to you too. You don't have to be just in a marriage. It can also be just a committed relationship. So anyway, that's the idea. I'll talk to you guys next time.